Like think about it. When we hit the nuclear reactor in Iran, that's probably like a year-long story in the 1970s or 80s, was a story for about a week. It was a hugely consequential geopolitical story, and now it seems like it was 100 years ago. As the media cycle is shortened, the presidential election cycle has lengthened. It went from, 8 months out to a year and a half out to 2 years to now we're out to like 3 years out. You're already seeing things like that. We got to that, but I got a ton to get to. That's a small portion of today's show. Big announcement for tomorrow. Happy, elated actually to have as a guest FBI Director Kash Patel. So we'll get into all the good stuff. We love having him on as a guest. I'm on the other side now, obviously, so I'm going to be somewhat careful what we talk about, but good man. So I'm really happy to have him on tomorrow. So don't miss that. Today, we've got John Solomon coming on later, who has some just really, really informative updates on that Fulton County, Georgia election case that I promise it'll make sense when I told you, just because you don't see things happening doesn't mean they're not happening. Now you'll see what was happening. And you'll understand a little better why I think election officials in Fulton County, Georgia are in a world of trouble. So that's coming up at about 11:30, about an hour and a half from now if you're listening or watching on demand. I've got a ton to get to, including just Elon on this AI thing, and I think he's 100% correct. A lot to get to. Today's show brought to you by our friends at My Patriot Supply. With everyone focused on the halftime show, one of the largest U.S. military buildups was happening in decades, and it's quietly happening in the Middle East. Well, not so quietly anymore. Folks, listen, global turmoil and the threat of grid attacks, the threat of wars breaking out are prescient. They are, these are really, really troubling times. Now, you don't need to, panic. You don't need to freak out about anything, but you got to be prepared. The way to reduce your anxiety is preparedness. That's right. An entire battle carrier group and 110 C-17 transport planes pulled up to Iran's doorstep. It's a tense situation, could escalate at any moment. I'm not saying we're going to war with anyone. What I'm saying is we're all distracted by this nonsense. But with this, there's serious stuff happening that could directly affect you and your family. Real threats you need to be prepared for. That's why I use My Patriot Supply. I have for a long time. Be prepared. Always be prepared. You don't want someone knocking on your door like, hey, you got some emergency food? You can get the emergency food yourself. Why are you relying on your neighbors? The best day of your life is when you don't need it. The worst day of your life is when you do need it and you don't have it. Head over to preparewithdan.com right now. Preparewithdan.com right now. Our friends at My Patriot Supply have set up a complete preparedness package just for you. You get everything in a bundle. You can't beat it. They've done all the lifting for you. It has backup power, survival food, water filtration, and more, all in one bundle with over $800 in free gear. They're calling it the Mount Rushmore preparedness, and it won't be around long. So go to preparewithdan.com right away. That's preparewithdan.com, preparewithdan.com. Get this stuff. You need it. You need to be prepared. What happens if they were, to hit the grid and you're out of power for 30 days? What are you going to do? Preparewithdan.com. All right, Gee, let's go. All right, so 2028 is on, but I wanted to get to this first, just quickly. This AI revolution, talking about preparedness and all this other stuff. Folks, I am very concerned about one big chunk of AI that I think could cause us a lot of problems in the future, and that's the development of bioweapons. Once onto the open internet, it starts to spill out there, combinations of various chemicals, viral manipulations that can create super viruses. Not like we haven't been through this before with the whole COVID pandemic. I am very concerned that AI, if it were to get a hold of basic components of this, could create one of these things on its own if it sees itself in an existential crisis. It's not just me saying it. I am by no means an AI tech expert. It's actual AI creators out there who are putting their own financial future on the line by telling you, hey, we're a little concerned about our own product. Again, I don't want to instill panic in anybody. I'm just telling you these concerns are very real. You have a lot of hostile foreign actors, too, who are very eager to use AI to develop advanced level biological weapons that we don't have any easy counter for right now. The only possible solution is to get AI to develop potential antidotes and vaccines for these things. And who knows if anybody's even going to trust that. This AI future has the potential for explosive economic growth, but the downsides could be very real. There's also the potential for massive economic dislocation here. However, don't use any of this as an excuse to fall into the Bernie Sanders AOC universal basic income trap. We don't know what's going to happen with AI and jobs because it hasn't really shown in the jobs numbers yet. The jobs numbers under President Trump are up despite the implementation of AI. However, what Elon's saying in this clip right here, I don't think is inaccurate. Here is Elon Musk talking about the difference between physical jobs that require a hands-on tactile touch, right? And digital jobs where you're touching a keyboard, maybe software developing or things like that. This is really important. Check this out.
AI is really still digital. Ultimately, AI can improve the productivity of humans who build things with their hands or do things with their hands, like literally welding, electrical work, plumbing, anything that's physically moving atoms, like cooking food or farming or like anything that's physical. Those jobs will exist for a much longer time. But anything that is digital, which is like just someone at a computer doing something, AI is going to take over those jobs like lightning.
Yeah, I think with that, he's absolutely correct. And that's definitely something we need to be concerned about. I saw this tweet, too, on an account called Raw Alerts, and this was fascinating. It says Meta is developing some kind of AI program where you can continue to post is patented an AI that can keep a deceased person account active and running, posting, messaging, and video calling by replicating and using their behavior from past data. I don't know if that's true or not, what their plans are for any of these social companies, but I noticed there was this big uproar on, on social media, like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I'm going to tell you, all right, unpopular opinion, flame me in the chat if you need to. I'm open. Do your thing, chatsters. I'm looking now. Get ready. Okay, I'm giving you a second. I don't think this is the worst thing in the world. I know it. I'm going to take an ass kicking on this. It's okay. I'm going to tell you the truth. If you don't want to do this, there's going to be an opt-out. They're not going to be able to steal your image and likeness. However, if you're some content creator or musician or an artist who creates digital pieces or something or whatever it may be, and you want to take care of your family, what better life insurance plan than to be able to continue to turn over your property, your social media pages to them and allow the AI to integrate and create some product and generate some income for your family? I don't know. Maybe it's hard for me to be objective because I have a social media presence on this, but I don't think it's worse. Just opt out if you don't like it. All right, enough on that. I always pack in a ton here. By the way, if you have an iPhone, very critical public service announcement from the DB show. Update your iOS. Major update from Apple. They had some kind of spyware infiltration, some major attack. Make sure you update your phone. I did it this morning. Haven't seen from the other side the threats. It's a big deal. You can look it up, but there was some Apple spyware update. Some of the stuff they can do out there with this new technology is absolutely incredible. Make sure you update it. Okay, moving on to something you may have seen in the news last night, another tragic story. I'll address this again with John Solomon later. Folks, it appears to be another act of trans violence. Yesterday, you saw the story in the news with this homicide investigation. Folks, when we were over at the Bureau over the last year, we were not letting this go. As I told you before, you see with just the news right here, father who shot 5 at Rhode Island ice rink, which transgender authorities say. Ladies and gentlemen, this is obviously getting to be a not only deadly problem, but a very deadly problem that is repeating itself. There is a pattern here, okay? You know for a fact, if this was some devout conservative or MAGA hat wearing guy shooting up a rink and this was happening over and over and Democrats were in charge, you'd all be in jail tomorrow. This is a pattern. When you see a pattern, you look for traits in the pattern. Is it hormonal manipulation? Is it some kind of psychological issue embedded that we're missing that leads to these outbreaks of violence in some of these cases? That when we were over there, we had them look at this to an analytical product. This is happening over and over and over again. And we better damn well get an explanation for it and get a hold of this, because this is not the first, second, or third time this has happened. As more information develops on that, I'll be sure to get it out on this show and my social media platforms as well. However, getting to what I wanted to discuss in the beginning of the show today. Folks, the race for 2028 is already on, and it matters. You know, I get it. I understand. This is another one of those chat moments where you always hesitate to discuss this stuff because it makes it appear like you're driving the news cycle. The news cycle drives the show. That's what we discuss, what's in the news. You're seeing now candidates earlier and earlier start to enter into the race. And what you're seeing now is a gravitational pull of party elders in each direction trying to pull parties. But you're seeing it now. I'll give you an example. Obama and Hillary Clinton in a clip I'll get to later, trying to pull the Democrat Party back towards closer to the center on the immigration issue because they know it's a total loser to be on the side of open borders. And then you're seeing AOC go totally crazy overseas. You're going to see this battle play out now. From this point on, it's going to be in the news every single day. You're also going to see it on the right. Some people are staking out claims. Some people are staking out other claims. Some people want to be the traditional old school conservative. Some people more the establishment type. Some people on the MAGA brand. Some people are going to run on the libertarian brand. You're going to see that. And I'm going to be able to explain that to you on our side as well as we go forward. But the Democrats are clearly in the counter-irritation mode right now. What's the counter-irritation mode? I described it yesterday. You know those like Bengay and those other pain analgesics, you put them on your arthritis and you're like, I feel better. Well, some of them, the way they work is counter irritation. You get a pain in your elbow, you put on this capsaicin type cream and, it's like a hot type compound and it distracts you a bit and your nervous system from the pain, right? That's the Democrats' principle of politics right now. They know everything they've run on in the last decade has been absolute shit. They know it. The open borders, Obama's disastrous pullout from Afghanistan, the DEI initiatives, the Latinx crap, all of the stuff they've defunded the police. Now Obamacare, which sucks so bad, it now needs more taxpayer money, even though it was supposed to be cheaper and they're willing to shut down the government on. Think about this. Every single thing the Democrats have run on, tell me one single thing.